Hello, in this week's South Bank Show we look at the work of the lyricist Bernie Taupin. Taupin is probably best known for his collaborations with Elton John, but in a career stretching over 30 years, he's also provided lyrics to hit records by Heart, Jefferson Starship and most recently the country legend Willie Nelson. For Bob Smeaton's film, we travelled to America to talk to Bernie Taupin and Elton John to gain an insight into how their songwriting partnership works. We also spoke to other leading lyricists about the importance of the lyric writer in popular music.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who can easily hide.
I think it's impossible, literally impossible, for a song to become a standard without a lyric that people identify with.
Daniel is driving tonight on a plane. I can see the red tail lights heading for Spain. Oh, and I can see Daniel waving goodbye.
Songs that survive have got to have a good lyric. Doesn't mean to say they have to have a sophisticated lyric, but they have to have a lyric that is memorable.
I can always tell a good lyricist if I hear a song and the lyrics pull me as much as the music. So I'm always listening for lyrics.
Counted the stars on the 4th of July, wishing we were rockets bursting into the sky, talking about redemption and leaving things behind. As the sun sank west of the Mendocino County line.
It's time now in the program to introduce my partner and lyric writer, Bernie Taupin. He's probably more important than me when it comes to writing the songs because he has to write the words before I write the music. So can I have a warm hand, please, for Bernie Taupin?
When are you gonna come down? When are you going to land? I should have stayed on the phone. Should have listened to my own mind. You know you can't hold me forever.
Bernie Taupin was born within the farming community of Ownby by Spittal in Lincolnshire, and from a very early age developed a love of romantic and narrative poetry.
My grandfather used to read to me, and my mother used to read to me, and the things that I really loved more than anything else, they weren't so much the odes and the short love poems. I mean, it wasn't about Byron and Shelley and Keats. It was much more about Tennyson and Macaulay and Coleridge. They were like adventure stories, and that's what I loved. I mean, they were really, in a way, it was like reading a boy's own, you know, only they were better written, you know. But it was really the same thing. I mean, I swear to God that sort of at 12 years old, I knew most of the lays of ancient Rome, you know, Las Posino, Clausunium, by the 9 gods he swore, you know. And it's just, I don't know, I just really grew up fueled on those things. And I guess that's why, ultimately, you know, from that, I gravitated towards, when I first heard people like Johnny Cash and Johnny Horton and Marty Robbins, the things that really, you know, again, excited me, they were story songs. So ultimately, really, what they were was it was like narrative poetry put to music.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl. Nighttime would find me in Rose's cantina. Music would play and Paulina would whirl.
Even before I heard people like that, the great narrative country storytellers, you know, that the person I have to give credit to bringing me to that place has to be Lonnie Donegan.
Times are getting hard, boys. Money's getting scarce. Times don't get much better, boys. Gonna leave this place.
When I heard those songs, I couldn't imagine wanting to do anything else. I wanted to write things like that. I mean, even when I was at school, I mean, the only thing I really excelled in was kind of English literature. Everything else I was just totally hopeless at. I used to write poetry. I used to love writing poetry. And I suppose for the time it wasn't that bad considering, you know, the age I was. And when I saw the ad in the New Musical Express, that's when I actually set myself the task of trying to write something that I thought was a lyric.
The ad that the 17-year-old Bernie Taupin read in the New Musical Express invited musicians and songwriters with ambition to contact Ray Williams at Liberty Records.
I remember he said basically he was a poet, but he thought that some of his work might fit well with music, but he didn't write music. And so did I know anybody that wrote music? And could I put him together with somebody? And so I responded and I said, well, if you're, you know, up these parts, come and see me and we'll talk about it.
You know, I mean, the idea of me just going, oh, sure, I'll be in Mayfair sometime next week, you know? So, but, you know, it was encouraging. It was so encouraging. And it was a huge move on my part, because as much as I hated to admit it, I was kind of scared.